Appalling, Liberal housing minister's undisclosed multi-million-dollar real estate SPARKS scandal. Housing affordability has become one of the most urgent issues facing Canadians, yet the very person tasked with solving it, Liberal Housing Minister Gregor Robertson, is now at the center of a firestorm. Recent revelations about his undisclosed real estate holdings, reportedly worth over $10 million, have ignited accusations of hypocrisy, conflict of interest, and political elitism. Canadians are asking a simple but pressing question. How can a minister with a personal fortune tied to high housing prices be trusted to bring those prices down? The scandal began when Robertson, in a statement meant to reassure homeowners, said he didn't want housing prices to fall because it would hurt families' equity. While framed as protecting middle-class Canadians, the comment landed poorly. With millions of young people priced out of the market, the idea that the government is defending inflated property values rather than tackling affordability sparked widespread backlash. The controversy escalated when it was revealed that Robertson owns multiple luxury properties in high-demand areas like Vancouver, Squamish, Tofino, and English Bay, including a high-rise penthouse and vacation homes. In Parliament, when Conservative MPs pressed Robertson to disclose how many rental or investment properties he holds, he refused to answer directly. Instead, Liberal House leader Steve McKinnon deflected, offering vague statements about ethics rules and affordability goals. That silence only deepened the controversy. To many Canadians, it looked like a minister protecting his personal wealth while evading basic accountability. It also reinforced the perception that the Liberal government is more interested in managing optics than solving the actual crisis facing renters and first-time buyers. What makes this issue especially explosive is that Robertson is not just any cabinet minister. He is the architect of the federal housing strategy. He is responsible for decisions that affect millions of Canadians, from zoning rules and development incentives to rental protections and tax policies. If he benefits from rising home prices, there is an inherent conflict between his public duty and private interest. Conservatives have called for a full disclosure of his holdings and a review of ethics enforcement mechanisms, arguing that the current system lacks teeth. The penalty for failing to disclose real estate assets is just $500, pocket change for someone with a multi-million-dollar portfolio. The uproar over Robertson's real estate also reflects a broader frustration with the Liberal government's handling of the housing file. Despite repeated promises, housing affordability has only worsened. Rent and mortgage payments have doubled in some cities. Housing starts are down. And while the Liberals have introduced programs for modular construction and tax credits, critics say these measures are too little, too late. The focus, many argue, remains on protecting existing wealth rather than opening the door to younger Canadians shut out of ownership entirely. Adding to the firestorm is Prime Minister Mark Carney's silence. After taking over the Liberal leadership from Justin Trudeau, Carney promised bold, nation-building policies and transformative economic leadership. But his handling of the housing crisis so far has been cautious, vague, and reactive. When he met with provincial premiers earlier this year, he deferred decisions on major infrastructure and development strategies, instead pushing responsibility back onto the provinces. Voters were left wondering, where is the leadership he promised? The scandal around Robertson's undisclosed holdings now threatens to erode public trust in Carney's cabinet at a time when the government needs it most. Already, the Liberals are being criticized for their reluctance to take decisive action on stalled energy projects and economic development. Conservatives point to a pattern of favoring well-connected elites while working-class families are told to be patient. The housing issue has become symbolic of this broader disconnect, where those in power make the rules but don't have to live with their consequences. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has seized the moment, vowing to clean house and bring transparency to Ottawa. He has proposed mandatory, detailed public disclosures for all cabinet ministers' property holdings and has pledged to criminalize intentional non-disclosure if elected. His team has also pushed for the repeal of legislation that blocks housing development and drives up costs, calling out bills like C-69 and zoning barriers as major obstacles. Poilievre argues that the current government has failed not because of a lack of ideas, but because of a lack of integrity and courage. For Canadians watching this unfold, the story is more than a scandal. It's a symbol of a system that feels rigged. Young families are watching homeownership slip further out of reach, while the person responsible for fixing it owns a real estate empire and shows no urgency for reform. That disconnect is driving cynicism and distrust. It also raises ethical questions. Can someone deeply invested in property truly put public interest first when those interests collide? Robertson's defenders argue that his experience as Vancouver mayor gives him unique insight into housing challenges and the tools needed to address them. But critics point out that under his watch, Vancouver became one of the most unaffordable cities in the world, driven in part by unchecked speculation and weak enforcement. His legacy, they argue, is not one of housing success, but of housing inequality. That track record, coupled with his personal wealth in real estate, casts doubt on whether he is the right person to lead the federal response. Despite government claims of strong ethics oversight, the system appears weak and unenforced. Past scandals involving other Liberal officials, ranging from ethics violations to conflicts of interest, have rarely led to serious consequences. The Robertson controversy fits into this narrative of a government that says the right things but fails to act when it counts. And that failure is no longer just a political liability. It's a threat to public faith in the entire housing system. As the pressure mounts, Canadians aren't just demanding answers. They're demanding results. Housing is not an abstract policy discussion. It's the reality that defines people's lives. It's the difference between being able to settle down or being priced out forever. If the government can't deliver affordable options, and if its leaders continue to profit from the crisis, the backlash will only grow. What Canadians need now is not more promises, but action, transparency, and leadership that puts their future before personal fortune.